I wanted to start, as we did the other day, and ask how many American attacks did you witness during the war? Do you recall? How many?
On the same plane?
On different days. Did you see, how many American planes did you see shot down on different raids?
Maybe a small plane, like American small plane.
Like a helicopter?
Maybe I saw five.
Five?
5 or 4.
Smaller planes?
Small plane. But the B-24, like what you say, is only one I see. I saw it, only one.
The smaller planes, were they low level or high level?
Or what they fighting in the air with the Japanese small airplane. I saw about 4, I'll say 4.
On the small planes, when they went down, what directions did they go down?
Oh, they go down to most west of the island.
Northwest of the island? Do you remember what color they were? Were they of the different small planes?
Small plane maybe I'll say I think a blue, because we saw in the sky, in the air. We saw them in the air. I cannot tell what is the color.
But they were baby blue, and they were darker color though in small planes? Going fast, slow? Okay. The bigger bomber at high altitude, can you describe the attack when you remember which direction they came in and what they did?
They usually come, the American plane usually coming from northwest.
Northwest?
To the island.
And then when it came to the island, did they take any turns over the island?
No, only one time they come from northeast. They start to bombing the island from the shore all the way to the land, and they go to the west, and that's all. Never returned.
Were they where were they bombing on the island?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere.
Did they focus on any particular point?
Especially the town, what the town is today. That was our Colonia before, and the old airport where they used to bomb.
The strike that you saw the bomber get shot down on, was it bombing the town or the airfield?
Both. They bombed both.
Can you describe when the planes came in, for example, how many? Was there a lot, a small amount?
The American plane, they come about, I'll say 30 or more than 30.
And then were they grouped together or in a long line?
They grouped together.
Grouped together? And when that plane was shot down, Mark, describe what you saw when it was shot down, the bomber. Do you remember, was it attacked by Zeros, and how did it...
No, they attacked by the land. Big gun from the land.
From the land?
Yeah.
And what happened to the plane in the air?
And the plane, when they attacked the American plane, it turned down and facing southwest, and I see about 3 men parachute down.
Okay.
One, the last one is from the we call island, Boat Island.
Boat Island?
Boat Island.
Okay.
They didn't cut that one. The last parachute.
Was the plane smoking or on fire when it went down?
Smoking fire.
Excuse me. Did the plane, did you see it go into the water?
Yes, I didn't see the plane go into the water, but I see it fly all the way to the south.
And when it, was there any explosions or big fire?
No, I didn't see.
Okay. Do you remember, did the plane stay on top of the water at all, or did it sink?
I don't see the plane because it went far away to the south.
To the south? Was there any of the big bombers that went more to the east, southeast that crashed out that way, or only the one?
Only the one.
Right now it's east this way here?
This is east.
This is east? Okay. So it was definitely going south when it was shot down?
Yes.
And where were you at when you were watching it? Were you in this village? Or
No, I was at the on top of the hill, opposite from Colonia.
Okay. The hill's outside of Colonia up on top where
Yes,
the
yes,
towers are now? There's a few towers up there I saw.
No, it's west side of the town.
West side of the tower. So you watched the bombers come in
Yes.
and fly over, and only the one was hit?
Yes, only one.
And it was in the front or back of the formation?
I cannot tell because it's way high in the high altitude.
Yep. Could you tell, were some planes light, some planes dark? Were they all the same color? Was it even?
I cannot tell because they fly above the cloud.
Above the clouds? Could you see and hear the bombs coming down?
Yes, we can see.
And were loud explosions?
Yeah.
And then smoke?
Smoke.
What did the Japanese do then when the plane went down? Did the Japanese go try to find the plane?
Yes, maybe I cannot tell because I was in middle of the island.
Okay.
And I know they captured two of the American.
Were the Americans, they land in the water, do you know, or in the land?
The first the two they captured them, but they land on the land.
And then when you saw them first time, where were they?
I saw them at the with the high army Japanese general at the house.
What was the Japanese general's name? His nickname?
Nickname we say Edward.
Edward?
Edward.
Now, some people say he was a spy.
Maybe.
Right? Why do they say that?
I hear from some of my Japanese friends that he was spy to American.
And why did they think he was a spy? Why did they think Edward was a spy? Did he do things to make it?
Because during when the American started bombing the island, and you can see him playing radio at the house, playing radio at the house, but I believe the whole village there was no American bomb. They didn't drop any bomb or
the village where Edward was.
Yeah.
When you saw the Americans, how far away were you from the Americans when they were brought back to the village?
When they brought those two parachutes down, maybe about 200 feet away from me.
And what were they wearing? Did they have still flight jackets on, or did they have, what type of clothing did they have on?
I cannot call, but I know they wear the clothing. But when they brought them to the army general, they were
Blindfolded?
Blindfolded. And when they talked to army general, he took all the blindfolded out.
And did they stand there and talk, or they sit?
They sit on the chairs. There were three chairs. They sit on. They're talking.
In English?
I can understand.
Too far away.
Yeah.
But Edward spoke English.
I believe he spoke English.
And how long did you see the Americans, and then before they were taken away? Was it a short period or a long period?
Or a short period, because I was talked to two of the Japanese high-ranking officers, and maybe only less than 15 minutes I left the Japanese quarter.
Okay. Were the Americans white? Were they black? Were they?
Oh, white.
They were white. Okay.
Two of them white.
Okay. Did anyone say if they were were they pilots, or did you hear any rumors? Were they navigators or?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And do you recall at all? Did they have blonde hair, black hair?
I can tell because maybe I saw them. I'll say about more than 200 feet away from me.
Okay, so away.
Yeah.
What did you hear, Mark, happened to the Americans then after they were?
What I hear was they put them on the Japanese ship, plus one or two Catholic priests and one Filipino who work at the weather station at that time. They put them on the Japanese ship and take them to Palau at that time.
Did the Catholic priests ever come back?
No, never come back in the Philippines.
I think they were killed then?
Yeah, I think so.
Very sad. How many days were they on the island? Do you remember?
Oh, maybe I can't tell, but I'll say 3-4 days, and I hear from some people that they put them on a Japanese ship and send them to Palau for
on a ship? Some of the other Americans that were shot down in the fighters, we've heard from others there were some fighters up by the dump that were shot down, some of the blue fighters. Do you recall hearing if those Americans lived or died when their planes landed on the land? Some of the smaller planes? Don't remember hearing any rumors about those? Okay. The Japanese and the number of fighters, did they, do you recall, were a lot of their Zeros and other planes smashed up on the runway from the bombs? Or
yes, yes.
Did they, do you recall, were the Japanese losing a lot of planes on the island?
Oh, yes, yes. Japanese lost most of the Japanese Zeros then.
On the ground or many in the air?
On the ground and in the air too.
Did you see some of the, when the bombers were flying over at high altitude, did you see any Zeros get hit and come down?
Yes.
Did they land typically in the water or in the land?
Some land in the water, some land on the Yap, on the island.
Did many of the pilots get rescued that were in the Japanese planes that were shot down? Do they have parachutes?
No, they came down with an airplane. There was no parachutes like America.
Yeah, I think the Japanese Zeros didn't have parachutes.
They don't use a parachute. They know that when they parachute down, the Americans caught them.
Caught them in the when they were parachuting?
Yeah.
There's a prop over there, Mark, that airplane prop. What is that airplane prop off of?
It's Japanese fighter.
From by the airport?
Yeah.
Excuse me. What are the planes that were that were hit on the runway?
Hit on the runway. I brought the propeller down here.
I still have a little bit of a cough. Anything else about the crash when the American plane was hit? When you were watching from the hill, do you remember with your hand like what it did when it was hit? Did it get hit and go straight down? Did it circles?
No, I saw the American bomber, but it came down. It went straight on the same altitude, always to south.
Did it?
No. Just it go normally.
So it kind of went down like
Yeah,
this.
that's right.
And then, what would your estimate be? How far south of the island did it? Would it hit way south or close to the island?
No, way south.
Way south.
I know there are maybe more than 5 miles away from the reef.
On the bomber that went down, I know it was very high, but a couple different bombers in the war had different types of tails. One had a twin tail, another had
I'm
one
sorry,
big
I
tail.
cannot tell because it's
So
they
high?
flying so high altitude.
Yeah. Was the sun gleaming off the planes?
That's
So it's kind of like the sun hitting off?
yes.
Okay. Do you think of other questions for Mark, then?
No.
Oh, here's a few more I wrote down. Do you remember how many engines the plane had?
Usually 4 engine.
4 engines, okay. Did you see during the end of the war B-29 planes that came later in the war? They had the big tail with the kind of a. They were.
No, I didn't. After the war, no. That's all during the war. We saw them during the war, but after the war we didn't.
The American plane the bomber that was shot down. Were you often out in the open when the Americans were bombing every day?
Yes.
And that was the only one during that you saw shot down? Would it have been possible for another big bomber to have been shot down that you didn't see?
I didn't see any bomber. That's the only one.
And if did you ever go in a cave during the bombing missions like some of the villages did?
No, because I used to work for the Japanese. As a farmer, we usually climb on a tree and watch the American flag.
Okay, so that was why you're on the open, because you were farming, and were you forced to farm by the Japanese?
Yes.
Okay, so when the bombing missions started, how early in the war did they start bombing the island? Do you remember? Was it late in the war or early?
About middle of the war, about 1942 or 43.
Okay. And then how consistently did they bomb the Yap? Then from that point on, did they come almost every day or every month? Or?
Every day.
Every day?
Daily. They, according to Japanese, they flew out from New Guinea.
Oh, right. Did the smaller fighters come later? The bombers come first and the smaller fighters later in the war?
Yeah, but small fighters came after they land on Loochaz Atoll.
Okay.
They sent the small bomber after the big bomber.
And the small ones always came in low?
Low, yes.
And did they also strafe or do any bombing of the town or runway?
Yes, they bombing runway and town, and also they attack the Japanese Zero. They fight in the air.
In the air? Was that when a lot of the Japanese Zeros were shot down?
Yes, a lot of Japanese Zeros shot down.
Did you ever talk to any of the pilots, the Japanese pilots, or did they, were they fearful of the Americans coming, or were they, what type of attitude did the Japanese have when the Americans were coming every day? Did they?
They wait before the American plane come in. They fly in standby and waiting for the American flight to fight.
So they would get up in the air and wait?
Yes.
Did they shoot a lot of guns off the ground up at the planes?
Yes.
And did they hit many of the small planes at all with those guns?
Oh, because the American know that there are a gun on the ground. They fly high or they fly outside of the island.
Okay.
And fight against the Japanese.
Did you ever see any American float planes land off the island that came, like big float planes that land on the water?
Yes.
Did you ever see those off the island?
I saw only one. Every day when the American bomber or American small plane come to the island and bombing the island, and I saw the American big plane flying on the reef or outside the reef slowly. Every day.
Every day? Did the Japanese Zeros go after it?
No, they don't attack that plane.
How about submarines? Did you see?
I didn't see somebody.
Okay. Did at the end of the war, did American big ships come in close to the island, carriers or battleships?
Yes, only big ship. One of the big ships came to the harbor entrance, and I was fishing with one of the Japanese friends. And he told me about the ship. They sent the M-boat or I don't know, M-boat BP from the ship and went down to downtown. And according to my Japanese friend, he said he's going to pick up the chief of the municipality and general to the ship. I said, what for? I asked him. And they brought it to the American ship, they signed the papers that war is over.
Okay, so that was the end of the war then?
Yeah.
Did a lot of Americans come to the island?
No. After a few months, then the American Navy came,
CBs, right. Did they ask for, to look for any American planes? Were the Americans looking for planes?
No, I don't think so.
You don't remember them coming around asking like questions like I'm doing?
I know they came down and there was a Japanese army on the island, and he was disrupted. I know that time he was disrupted during American came to the island.
American camera did. One final question, and again, I really appreciate your time, Mark. This is great. When you were up on the hill facing south and you saw that bomber go down, It most definitely didn't go east. It went down to the south.
Go to the
Okay.
south.
And you were here during the entire war. You never left the island.
No. Is that after the war?
During the war.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So from the start of the war to the end of the war, you were on the island.
On the island.
And with your best recollection, that bomber was the only bomber over the island.
Yes.
Did you see other bombers get hit and smoke at all as they flew away?
No, I didn't.
Okay. This has been very, very helpful, and I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I just can't thank you enough. We do plan to keep on coming back until we find my uncle's plane. It's, so I might.
I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate it. It might not be this year we find the plane, and we're going diving tomorrow for the plane with people at the Manta Ray. But we're going to keep coming back, so I hope I can stop back on my next trip and say hi to you as well.
Okay.
I appreciate it.